Back in 2016, after Trump won the presidential election against Hillary Clinton, there was a significant spike in the number of people applying to law school. Overall, there was an approximate 8% increase following that election due to the intensified political climate, the economic situation, and the general feeling among a lot of young folks that they wanted to go to law school to help change the system and change the circumstances that had led to that election. This was followed in 2020 by an approximate 13% increase in the number of people applying to law school. 2020 was, of course, yet another presidential election year involving Donald Trump. This was also, of course, in the beginning of the pandemic. Now, as we enter 2024, we can't help wondering, will there yet again be another so-called Trump bump in law school admissions, a similar spike in the number of people applying to law school? I'm inclined to say yes for a number of reasons. Once again, as in 2016 and 2020, we are in yet another intensified political climate. We have the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade with the Dobbs decision. We have the recent case overturning affirmative action, Students for Fair Admission versus Harvard. There's a lot of crime in major cities going on right now, and Trump has continued to be in the headlines over the past 4 years, involving several ongoing legal battles, some of which related, of course, to the events of January 6th, 2021. The economy is still fairly unstable, and there has been significant inflation over the past couple of years. The combination of a rather testy political climate combined with a shaky economic situation, these are things that historically have led people to go to law school, both for reasons looking to change the system politically, as well as looking to better their own personal economic situation. So if the previous trends hold going forward, we can expect there will be yet another increase in the number of applicants applying to law school this fall. If I had to predict, I'd say if 2016 we had a roughly 8% increase, 2020 approximate 13% increase, but of course that was at the peak of COVID as well. I'm expecting maybe yet another 10% increase in the number of people applying to law school this fall. For you as the applicant, this means it may be a more competitive admission cycle than it would have been perhaps in years past. I also have another reason to think that there will be an increase in the number of people taking the LSAT and applying to law school this fall as well, which is the coming removal of the logic games section after the June LSAT. Logic games has historically been the most feared and hated section of the LSAT. Perhaps it is because the most unfamiliar at first. It is the most learnable, of course, but that doesn't stop folks who are new to the LSAT from being somewhat intimidated by it. So as we see logic games being removed from the LSAT after June, that may lead folks who've been delaying law school for a while to say to themselves, you know what, with no more logic games on the exam, maybe it's not so scary. Maybe I want to go ahead and just take the LSAT after all. So if these folks can take the LSAT in August or September or October, they can still apply to law school towards the beginning of the cycle in the fall. And that would be yet another reason why this cycle has a spike in the number of folks potentially applying to law school. Now, if you are applying to law school now, just because they're removing logic games, of course, there's no special note you need to make on your application. Law schools won't care whether you took the LSAT with or without the logic game section. However, if you are someone who's applying to law school in part or in whole due to Donald Trump being the presumptive Republican nominee and going head to head against Joe Biden once again in the 2024 election, you may be wondering, how do you cover this at all, if at all, in your law school application? I would probably advise you not to reference it explicitly, just because there will be likely many other folks doing exactly the same thing. Of course, back in 2016, there were many people applying to law school in large part because of the election of Donald Trump, and law school admission officers read countless essays to this effect. You don't want to be yet another applicant in that same pool going for the same reasons, writing yet another cookie cutter application essay. You also want it to be apparent that law school has long been on your mind. It's not a recent decision due to current events or you're going to law school for lack of a better option, of course. A natural progression in your career, a natural next step, something that's been on your mind for a while, and something that you can tie closely to your resume and your academic experiences up to this point. So take the opportunity in your application to make a strong, compelling case that's the natural continuation of a path that you've already been on. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to see it. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.